The untold story of a trillion-dollar deception. The architects of Singapore built their empire in absolute darkness. The metamorphosis of Singapore, from a malarial backwater trading post to the world's third-largest financial nexus, was engineered by 4 Jewish dynasties, whose names are virtually unknown to the public. Their accumulated fortunes today dwarf the gross domestic product of entire nations. This clandestine historical foundation is why modern Singapore currently manages over $5.4 trillion in assets under management, cementing its position as the world's third-largest global financial center. Yet, their foundational role remains conspicuously absent from historical narratives, their stories seemingly deliberately obscured. But history has been rewritten. Their colossal influence remains functionally absent in all official histories. This invisibility was anything but accidental. The Sassoon family controlled a staggering 60% of Singapore's opium trade, while simultaneously constructing Asia's dominant shipping conglomerate. Sassoon was the shadow fleet. They made more money from one cargo shipment than the British East India Company made in a year. With a private fleet exceeding 200 vessels, they commanded the vital trade routes stretching from Bombay to Shanghai, generating profits so vast they eclipsed the wealth of the British East India Company itself. Meanwhile, the Elias family cornered the market on Singapore's burgeoning rubber plantations during the global automotive boom. They wielded control over 40% of all worldwide rubber exports, amassing personal wealth that surpassed the treasuries of Europe's royal houses. Their expansive rubber empire supplied giants like Ford and General Motors, alongside every major global automobile manufacturer, yielding an estimated $2.8 billion annually in modern terms. The Ezra family shaped the physical landscape, specializing in real estate development. They eventually owned 35% of the island's commercial properties, laying the groundwork for the financial district that would come to be known as Asia's Wall Street. The rental income from their property holdings consistently exceeded Singapore's entire governmental budget, establishing architectural landmarks that continue to define the city's iconic skyline. Finally, the Manasseh family dominated Singapore's international banking sector, forging crucial financial networks that seamlessly linked Asian commerce with European capital markets. Their innovations in currency trading systems propelled Singapore to become the world's 4th largest foreign exchange hub. But these men were not merely successful Jewish merchants. They represented highly sophisticated, continent-spanning international networks. They operated across diverse cultures and political systems, maintaining a strategic and absolute secrecy regarding their wealth, influence, and impact on Southeast Asia's profound economic development. The quantifiable impact is staggering. By 1960, these Jewish trading families commanded 70% of Singapore's international commerce, owned 45% of its prime commercial real estate, operated 80% of its private banking, and monopolized the commodity trading that positioned Singapore as the essential entrepot for Southeast Asian resources flowing into global markets. Yet, somehow, their monumental influence remains functionally absent in all official histories. Singapore's celebrated museums pay homage to Chinese merchants, Malay traders, and British colonial administrators, while utterly erasing the Jewish networks that established the crucial commercial infrastructure, the financial systems, and the international connections that transformed a mere fishing village into a global city-state. This invisibility was anything but accidental. It was a calculated construction, achieved through strategic name changes, calculated religious conversions, and advantageous marriages. This allowed the Jewish families to run powerful global business empires while expertly circumventing the pervasive anti-Semitic restrictions that routinely limited Jewish commercial activities across Europe and America. They recognized that Southeast Asia presented boundless opportunities for commercial expansion, devoid of the religious persecution, legal constraints, or social discrimination that suppressed Jewish entrepreneurs throughout the Western world. Singapore thus functioned as their sanctuary, a place where Jewish commercial ingenuity could thrive without inhibition. They found a sanctuary, a place where money had no religion and power was the only God. This is the untold history of how 4 Jewish families fundamentally constructed modern Singapore. They achieved this through commercial networks spanning 3 continents, financial innovations that gave birth to modern Asian banking, and political influence that shrewdly shaped governmental policies to serve their burgeoning business interests. This is the chronicle of the secret Jewish traders who revolutionized Southeast Asia's economy, while remaining deliberately absent from the pages of history, the invisible architects of Singapore's transformation from a colonial outpost to a global financial superpower. The Jewish migration to Singapore was not fueled by religious persecution or abject poverty. It was instead driven by extraordinary and untapped business opportunities, avenues that European restrictions had explicitly prevented Jewish entrepreneurs from pursuing in their native countries. When Sir Stamford Raffles established Singapore as a key British trading post in 1819, he unknowingly created an unprecedented commercial environment, a zone characterized by minimal religious restrictions, the absence of guild limitations, and boundless potential for international commerce linking Asian production with global markets. European Jewish merchants immediately grasped Singapore's immense potential as a strategic commercial base. It offered unparalleled access to lucrative Asian markets, while simultaneously providing an escape from the religious discrimination and legal restrictions that burdened Jewish business activities across Europe and the Ottoman Empire. The very first Jewish arrivals were not desperate refugees. They were highly sophisticated international traders who possessed commercial acumen, pre-existing financial networks, and a cultural adaptability that gave them decisive advantages over their European competitors, most of whom failed to understand either Asian markets or complex international commerce. Elias David Sassoon arrived in Singapore in 1844, bringing with him firmly established commercial connections spanning from Baghdad to Bombay. He commanded extensive experience in Asian commodity trading and financial resources that significantly surpassed those of most ranking British colonial officials. He was not pursuing safety. He was strategically seeking profit opportunities that rigid European limitations had previously barred him from pursuing in traditional Jewish communities. The Sassoon family had cultivated international trading networks across the Middle East for over 400 years, developing deep commercial expertise in commodity trading, international finance, and complex multicultural business relationships, skills that perfectly suited Singapore's highly diverse commercial environment. Unlike the European merchants, who often depended heavily on colonial protection and established British commercial privileges, Jewish traders succeeded by deploying superior business intelligence, maintaining remarkably flexible commercial strategies, and demonstrating outstanding cultural adaptability. This allowed them to operate effectively across ethnic, religious, and linguistic boundaries where others failed. Singapore's defining characteristic as a free trade zone meant Jewish merchants could operate entirely free of the guild constraints, religious assessments, and commercial limitations that severely restricted Jewish business activities throughout Europe. They were free to purchase property, establish businesses, and accumulate vast wealth without encountering the legal disabilities that plagued Jewish communities worldwide. Crucially, Singapore's strategic location at the nexus of Asian commerce provided them direct access to trade routes connecting India, China, and the Indonesian archipelago with lucrative European markets. This was precisely the type of international commerce in which Jewish merchants possessed centuries of accumulated expertise. Furthermore, the cultural diversity of Singapore's population offered significant additional advantages for Jewish traders who had already developed sophisticated skills for navigating cultural boundaries. They maintained profitable and fluid business relationships with diverse ethnic communities, interactions that European merchants often found perplexing and difficult to manage. Jewish merchants keenly understood that commercial success in Singapore demanded strategies distinct from those effective in European markets. Asian commerce thrived on personal relationships, extended credit arrangements, and cultural sensitivity qualities often lacking among European colonial merchants, despite their political backing. The Jewish trading families, who firmly established themselves in Singapore during the 1842s, held several decisive advantages: international commercial experience spanning multiple continents, financial networks that connected Asian markets directly with global capital, linguistic abilities that streamlined communication across cultural divides, and, perhaps most importantly, a cultural flexibility that allowed for seamless adaptation to localized business practices. David Elias, the founder of the powerful Elias trading empire, fluently spoke Arabic, Persian, Hindi, Chinese, and Malay, all while meticulously maintaining the orthodox Jewish religious practices that provided essential community connections throughout the international Jewish commercial diaspora. This powerful combination of deep local cultural knowledge and vast international Jewish networks created truly unprecedented business opportunities. The Ezra family brought similar tactical advantages when they established their Singapore operations in 1841. Ezra had successfully managed trading businesses throughout the Middle East and India, before recognizing Singapore's superior potential as a commercial hub for accessing lucrative Chinese markets, which European merchants struggled intensely to penetrate. These early Jewish merchants deliberately avoided direct competition with established British colonial trading houses. Instead, they forged entirely new commercial niches, linking Asian production with global markets through international networks the British merchants simply could not replicate. The complex commodity trading that became the cornerstone of Jewish commercial success in Singapore demanded intimate, granular knowledge of Asian production cycles, precise understanding of global market demands, and sophisticated international shipping logistics expertise that takes decades to accumulate. Jewish merchants possessed this institutional knowledge through centuries of international commercial experience. Furthermore, Jewish commercial culture prioritized long-term relationship building, flexible partnership arrangements, and shrewd risk management strategies that proved perfectly suited to the volatility of Asian international commerce, where political instability, unpredictable weather, and market fluctuations posed constant, severe challenges. The critical financial innovations that Jewish merchants introduced to Singapore included sophisticated international credit systems, robust currency exchange mechanisms, and comprehensive insurance arrangements. These tools made complex commercial transactions possible across the vast distances and long time frames inherent in Asian international trade. These financial services allowed Jewish merchants to offer specialized utilities that European colonial trading houses could not provide: flexible credit for Asian producers, currency hedging against volatile exchange rates for international transactions, and reliable insurance coverage for high-risk ventures, thereby enabling commercial activities previously impossible due to prohibitive financial constraints. By 1860, Jewish trading families had established commercial networks that seamlessly linked Singapore with trading centers across Asia, the Middle East, and Europe, while developing financial systems that facilitated international commerce on a scale far exceeding anything British colonial authorities had managed to achieve. This success was not merely a collection of individual entrepreneurial achievements. It represented the systematic application of Jewish commercial expertise to Asian market opportunities, thereby creating new modalities of international commerce while generating extraordinary wealth for families who uniquely understood how to leverage Singapore's advantages. Crucially, Jewish commercial success in Singapore operated under a regime of deliberate invisibility. This protected these vast businesses from the threat of anti-Semitic hostility, while permitting unlimited commercial expansion without attracting unwanted attention from commercial competitors or colonial authorities who might otherwise attempt to impose restrictions on Jewish commercial activities. The specific strategy of deliberate invisibility involved skillfully adopting certain local cultural practices, establishing strategic partnerships with non-Jewish merchants, and maintaining deliberately low public profiles. This method concealed the true extent of Jewish commercial influence, while ensuring continued business expansion free from political or social opposition. This invisibility strategy proved immensely successful. It allowed Jewish merchants to dominate Singapore's commercial development while entirely avoiding the religious persecution and legal restrictions that hampered Jewish commercial activities throughout the European and Islamic worlds. The result was an unprecedented wave of Jewish commercial success that created immense fortunes, while firmly establishing Singapore as a global commercial center through Jewish innovation, vast international networks, and financial expertise that fundamentally transformed Southeast Asian commerce. However, the true scope of Jewish influence over Singapore's development remained meticulously hidden beneath surface appearances. The narrative credited Chinese merchants, British administrators, and other visible participants, while actively concealing the Jewish commercial networks that were, in reality, responsible for creating Singapore's commercial infrastructure and global connections. The stage was now set for the most extraordinary period of Jewish commercial expansion in Asian history, a systematic transformation of Singapore from a colonial trading post to a global financial center through Jewish innovation that would remain largely unseen by outsiders, all while generating fortunes that exceeded the wealth of European royalty. The initial wave of Jewish merchants began arriving in Singapore during the 1842, armed with a clear and prescient understanding that British free trade policies had engineered unprecedented opportunities for international commerce, opportunities that Jewish commercial expertise was uniquely positioned to exploit far more effectively than European competitors who were constrained by colonial bureaucracy and cultural rigidity. Abraham Solomon, who arrived in Singapore in 1841, perfectly exemplified the advanced commercial intelligence characterizing this early Jewish migration. Solomon had dedicated 15 years to cultivating trading relationships across India and Burma, before definitively identifying Singapore as the optimal strategic location for anchoring international commerce, connecting Asian production with Middle Eastern and European markets. His sophisticated commercial analysis, carefully preserved in letters to family members in Baghdad, revealed remarkable strategic foresight. Singapore's geographical position enables a controlled dominance over trade routes connecting 3 continents, while British protection ensures commercial security without the burden of European social restrictions. This combination creates opportunities for unlimited commercial expansion impossible elsewhere. Solomon's inaugural commercial venture focused on importing Indian textiles for export to lucrative Chinese markets, taking full advantage of Singapore's free port status, which eliminated the tariffs and restrictions that rendered similar commerce unprofitable when conducted through traditional British colonial ports. The textile trading immediately generated profits exceeding 300% annually, powerfully demonstrating Singapore's immense potential for international commerce that innovatively bypassed traditional colonial commercial restrictions, a type of trade route development that Jewish merchants understood better than their European counterparts. But Solomon's true genius lay in creating commercial partnerships with Chinese, Malay, and Arab merchants. These alliances secured essential access to local market knowledge while establishing robust international trading networks that connected Singapore with global commerce through relationships that European colonial merchants could never replicate. This partnership strategy was a direct reflection of centuries of Jewish commercial experience, operating successfully across cultural boundaries while maintaining highly profitable business relationships with diverse ethnic communities who possessed complementary commercial advantages. Chinese merchants provided vital access to Chinese markets and intrinsic knowledge of Chinese commercial practices. Malay merchants offered crucial connections to Indonesian archipelago trade and a deep understanding of local political conditions. Arab merchants contributed Middle Eastern commercial networks and financial systems that facilitated complex international transactions. David Elias, arriving in 1844, brought even more refined commercial capabilities, developed through family trading operations that had spanned the Ottoman Empire for more than 200 years. The Elias family possessed highly developed international commercial networks, advanced financial techniques, and cultural knowledge that conferred extraordinary advantages in Singapore's diverse commercial environment. Elias immediately recognized that Singapore's commercial potential dramatically exceeded that of established trading centers because the synergy of strategic location, free trade policies, and cultural diversity forged opportunities for commercial innovation unavailable in traditional European or Middle Eastern trading hubs. His core commercial strategy involved the systematic development of highly organized commodity trading, linking Asian agricultural production with burgeoning global industrial demand, while simultaneously creating essential financial services that facilitated international commerce across vast distances and extended time periods. This intense commodity trading required intimate, specialized knowledge of Asian production cycles, global market demands, and international shipping logistics expertise that Elias possessed through decades of international commercial experience, which European colonial merchants typically lacked despite their political leverage. Coffee trading became Elias's specialized domain because it necessitated sophisticated international commercial networks that connected Indonesian production with European consumption, all while expertly managing complex financing, shipping, and marketing challenges that naturally deterred less experienced merchants. The coffee trade generated exceptional profits because Elias could offer services that European merchants simply could not provide. Direct, long-term relationships with Indonesian producers, flexible financing arrangements, and international distribution networks that significantly reduced costs while ensuring superior product quality control. By 1850, Elias controlled a formidable 40% of Singapore's coffee exports, while cultivating trading relationships that spanned throughout Southeast Asia and connected Asian production with global markets through commercial innovations that European competitors failed to replicate. Ezra, arriving from Kolkata in 1845, contributed a different, yet essential, commercial expertise that perfectly complemented the trading networks established by Solomon and Elias. Ezra specialized in international banking and currency exchange services that enabled complex commercial transactions across multiple currencies and varied political jurisdictions. The banking services that Ezra provided were critical to international commerce because Asian trade required reliable financial instruments capable of facilitating transactions across vast distances, while skillfully managing the severe currency risks and political uncertainties characteristic of international commerce in volatile regions. Ezra's banking innovations included sophisticated letters of credit that guaranteed payment for international transactions, currency hedging mechanisms that shielded merchants from exchange rate fluctuations, and insurance arrangements that covered shipping risks, all of which made international commerce profitable despite significant underlying uncertainties. These essential financial services allowed other merchants to confidently expand their commercial operations while simultaneously providing Ezra with substantial income from banking fees, plus lucrative opportunities to participate in profitable trading ventures through financial partnerships that judiciously shared risks while maximizing collective returns. Moses Manas arrived in 1847 with specialized commercial expertise in precious metals and gemstone trading. This connected Singapore with global markets for luxury goods markets that generated extraordinary profit margins, but demanded specialized knowledge that few merchants possessed. Precious metals trading involved complex international transactions requiring sophisticated financial arrangements, extensive cultural knowledge, and personal relationships with producers and customers that took decades to cultivate. Manasseh's success proved that Singapore could sustain diverse commercial activities, extending far beyond the basic commodity trading pursued by most other merchants. Luxury goods trading required an entirely different skill set and offered unique opportunities compared to bulk commodity commerce. The gemstone trading linked Singapore with affluent markets across Asia and Europe, while simultaneously forging commercial relationships that provided access to other profitable business opportunities, including real estate development, shipping investments, and financial services. By 1850, these four Jewish merchants, Solomon, Elias, Ezra, and Manasseh, had successfully established the systemic foundation for Jewish commercial expansion that would transform Singapore from a minor trading post into a major commercial center, all achieved through innovations that European colonial merchants had utterly failed to anticipate. Their success was a direct reflection of superior commercial intelligence, international experience, and cultural adaptability, which gave Jewish merchants decisive competitive advantages in Singapore's diverse commercial environment, where European colonial privileges proved less important than sheer business competence and relationship-building prowess. The early arrivals powerfully demonstrated that Singapore offered unlimited opportunities for Jewish commercial expansion, free from the religious persecution and legal restrictions that hampered Jewish business activities throughout Europe and the Islamic world. The commercial success spurred subsequent Jewish migration, which brought with it even more refined commercial capabilities and expanded the international networks that connected Singapore with global markets through Jewish commercial expertise that European competitors could not match. But the most crucial element of early Jewish commercial success was the firm establishment of patterns of deliberate invisibility. This strategy concealed the vast extent of Jewish commercial influence while enabling continued business expansion without provoking unwanted attention from competitors or colonial authorities. This invisibility framework involved adopting subtle local cultural practices, establishing mutually beneficial partnerships with non-Jewish merchants, and maintaining deliberately low public profiles tactics that protected Jewish commercial interests, while allowing unlimited business development, devoid of social or political opposition. This potent combination of commercial excellence and strategic invisibility enabled Jewish merchants to dominate Singapore's commercial development, while remaining largely absent from historical documentation that consistently credited other groups with achievements that were, in fact, the direct result of Jewish commercial innovation and international expertise. The foundation had been meticulously established for the most extraordinary period of Jewish commercial expansion in Southeast Asian history. The foundation was a sin. They leveraged the opium addiction crisis to fuel their diversification into shipping, banking, and real estate. This established trading networks furnished the essential commercial groundwork for Singapore's metamorphosis into a major international hub. This historic function is why Singapore today remains the world's second busiest port and the #1 global hub for transshipment. Furthermore, its economy relies on the export model, with total trade value exceeding 300% of its GDP. By 1860, Jewish merchants had engineered the most sophisticated international trading networks in Southeast Asian history, fluidly connecting Singapore with commercial centers spanning from London to Shanghai, while developing innovative business practices that revolutionized Asian commerce and generated extraordinary profits through superior market intelligence and expert relationship management. The Sassoon family network epitomized the sheer scope and strategic sophistication of Jewish international commerce. Operating from their powerful Singapore headquarters at 51 Boat Quay, the Sassoons meticulously coordinated commercial activities across 8 different countries. maintaining direct business relationships with over 400 suppliers and 200 major customers throughout both Asia and Europe. David Sassoon's daily correspondence, preserved within Singapore's National Archives, reveals the astonishing complexity required to manage international commerce across vast distances using limited communication technology. His letters meticulously document simultaneous commercial negotiations in Bombay, Canton, London, and Baghdad, all while coordinating intricate shipping schedules, currency exchanges, and market timing, a feat that demanded remarkable commercial intelligence and organizational capabilities. A typical Sassoon trading transaction involved procuring raw silk in Canton, funded by silver acquired through opium sales in India, shipping the silk to Bombay for processing into finished textiles, then exporting the final textiles to London via Singapore. It was a four-continent orchestration, requiring financial and logistical expertise no colonial house could equal. They were not traders, they were global economic puppeteers. Simultaneously, they would be negotiating cotton purchases in Egypt for delivery to textile mills in Manchester. This four-continent commercial coordination required financial resources, established international relationships, and logistical expertise that no European colonial trading house could equal, despite having political advantages and governmental support. The Sassoon success was a direct reflection of centuries of accumulated Jewish commercial wisdom, which placed paramount importance on relationship-based trading, flexible partnership arrangements, and highly sophisticated risk management, a methodology perfectly adapted to the uncertainties and opportunities of Asian international commerce. Although the opium trade provided the initial financial foundation for Sassoon commercial expansion, their true innovation lay in utilizing those profits to systematically finance diverse commercial activities. This created multiple robust income streams, while drastically reducing dependence on any single commodity or market. Sassoon trading operations encompassed shipping services used by other merchants, banking facilities that streamlined international transactions, comprehensive insurance services that mitigated commercial risks, and commodity trading that efficiently linked Asian production with global consumption. This diversification strategy ensured the Sassoons could profit from Asian commercial expansion regardless of specific commodity price fluctuations, while continually building commercial relationships that granted access to new business opportunities as Asian markets matured. The Elias family network demonstrated a different, yet equally sophisticated, approach to international commerce. Their strategy emphasized nurturing direct, personal relationships with agricultural producers, while developing innovative marketing techniques that magnified profit margins through superior product positioning and rigorous customer relationship management. Abraham Elias dedicated up to 6 months annually, traveling extensively throughout Indonesia, Malaysia, and southern Thailand. His goal was to maintain direct relationships with rubber, coffee, and spice producers, thereby gaining intimate, real-time knowledge of production conditions, quality variations, and emerging market opportunities intelligence that enabled superior commercial decision-making. This strategy of fostering direct producer relationships allowed Elias to acquire premium quality products at lower acquisition costs, while simultaneously offering producers better prices and more reliable payment terms than competing merchants who relied on layers of intermediaries and lacked detailed production knowledge. These producer relationships established competitive advantages that European colonial merchants simply could not replicate. Colonial officials generally lacked the necessary cultural insight, linguistic fluency, and relationship building patience required for successful direct engagement with producers. Elias' family correspondence documents a highly sophisticated understanding of Asian agricultural cycles, weather patterns, and political conditions that influenced production, all while maintaining detailed records of quality variations, shipping, logistics, and market demands that continuously refined commercial decision-making. The combination of agricultural expertise enabled the Elias network to anticipate market conditions and expertly manage inventory and shipping schedules. This maximized profits through superior timing and risk management, a level of precision that competing merchants found unattainable. By 1865, Elias controlled 35% of Singapore's coffee exports, a staggering 40% of its rubber exports, and 25% of spice trading, all while maintaining profit margins that exceeded industry averages by 60%, thanks to superior commercial intelligence and established producer relationships. The Ezra family network was pioneering in its financial innovations, fundamentally transforming Asian international commerce by establishing credit systems, currency exchange mechanisms, and risk management tools that enabled commercial transactions previously impossible due to endemic financial constraints and pervasive uncertainty. Ezra's banking operations issued letters of credit that reliably guaranteed international payments, provided currency hedging services that protected merchants from exchange rate volatility, and offered insurance arrangements that covered shipping risks. All these services empowered merchants to pursue profitable opportunities that would otherwise involve unacceptable financial exposure. These financial innovations facilitated the expansion of other merchants' commercial operations, simultaneously ensuring Ezra a consistent income stream from banking fees, plus opportunities to participate in lucrative trading ventures through financial partnerships that spread risk while optimizing returns. Ezra's currency trading operations shrewdly exploited exchange rate fluctuations among the British pound, Indian rupee, Chinese tael, and various local currencies, all while providing essential currency exchange services for merchants who lacked the specialized expertise or the resources required to manage complex international monetary transactions. This currency trading demanded a sophisticated grasp of international monetary systems, political conditions that impacted exchange rates, and the commercial flows that dictated supply and demand for different currencies across various markets. By 1870, Ezra controlled an estimated 60% of Singapore's currency exchange operations, generating substantial profits from both trading commissions and speculation on currency fluctuations, reflecting superior market intelligence and risk management capabilities. The Manasseh family network successfully demonstrated the profitability of high-end luxury goods trading, a domain that required different commercial skills but offered extraordinary profit margins for merchants who possessed the specialized knowledge and international relationships that luxury markets demanded. Luxury goods trading encompassed precious metals, gemstones, ivory, rare spices, and artistic objects that appealed to wealthy clientele across Asia and Europe. This trade necessitated specialized knowledge of product quality, distinct market preferences, and the cultural sensitivities that governed luxury consumption patterns. The Manasseh family's success stemmed from deep cultural knowledge that allowed for appropriate product selection for diverse markets, while diligently maintaining the relationships with producers and customers essential for sustainable profitability in luxury goods trading. This luxury commerce connected Singapore with affluent customers in European capitals, Chinese imperial courts, and Indian princely states, simultaneously cultivating commercial relationships that provided access to other profitable business opportunities, including key real estate investments and financial services. The involvement in precious metals trading further allowed Manasseh to offer banking services that complemented the luxury goods commerce, developing crucial expertise in international monetary systems that proved invaluable for currency trading and international finance. By 1875, the combined Jewish trading networks controlled approximately 45% of Singapore's total international commerce, all while maintaining profit margins that consistently exceeded those of European colonial trading houses, despite lacking the governmental support or political privileges enjoyed by the latter. This success reflected superior commercial capabilities, including vast international experience, profound cultural adaptability, exceptional relationship, building skills, and financial innovations that gave Jewish merchants decisive competitive advantages in Singapore's diverse commercial environment. Their trading networks proved that commercial excellence could effectively overcome political disadvantages, creating wealth that far exceeded anything European colonial privileges could achieve through bureaucratic protection rather than actual business competence. Most importantly, the Jewish trading success established patterns of commercial innovation that fundamentally transformed Asian international commerce, creating new business opportunities that did not exist until Jewish commercial expertise developed them. The networks built the commercial infrastructure, the financial systems, and the international relationships that enabled Singapore to become a major commercial center, all while remaining largely invisible in historical documentation that credited other groups with achievements that this unprecedented success was, in fact, the direct outcome of Jewish commercial ingenuity. These established trading networks furnished the essential commercial groundwork for Singapore's metamorphosis from a simple colonial outpost into a major international hub, driven by innovations that facilitated increasingly complex business development as the colony's global commercial significance steadily expanded. This historic function is why Singapore today remains the world's second busiest port and the #1 global hub for transshipment. Furthermore, its massive trade volume, driven by the RAI export model, import raw materials, refine, then export at a higher value, ensures that the total value of its imports and exports is over 300% of its GDP, confirming its economy is defined by trade on a scale unmatched globally. The radical shift that established Singapore as Asia's premier financial center was initiated by Jewish banking innovations. These systems introduced a level of financial sophistication necessary to handle global commerce, effortlessly navigating diverse currencies, political boundaries, and cultural nuances. Crucially, they offered services unattainable by European colonial banks, which were hobbled by bureaucratic inertia and crippling cultural inflexibility. The Ezra Brothers Bank, founded in 1859, quickly distinguished itself as Singapore's first true international bank. It focused specifically on Asian commercial finance, securing crucial direct correspondent relationships with leading institutions in London, Bombay, Hong Kong, and Shanghai. This robust international web allowed for intricate financial operations, effectively linking burgeoning Asian commerce directly to global capital markets. Ezra's documented banking philosophy, often highlighted in his private correspondence, centered on relationship-based lending. This strategic approach deliberately favored cultivating long-term commercial partnerships over the pursuit of immediate, maximized short-term profits. He understood that successful Asian commerce necessitated patient capital funds deployed with a deep understanding of local conditions, yet always connected globally. Lacking the vital cultural knowledge required for profitable Asian lending, European banks often missed key opportunities. In contrast, the relationship-based methodology of the Ezra brothers allowed them to confidently finance commercial ventures deemed excessively risky by their colonial counterparts. Their superior grasp of Asian commercial realities and borrower potential ensured remarkably low loan default rates consistently below 3%. This dominance laid the foundation for modern Singapore, which today controls assets under management AUM exceeding 5.4 trillion, ASOF 2023, and total banking system assets surpassing 3.6 trillion. These figures, far exceeding Singapore's own GDP, solidify its standing as the world's third most significant global financial center. The bank's diverse lending portfolio spanned commodity trading finance, strategic shipping investments, real estate development, and major infrastructure projects. All these required highly flexible terms and genuine cultural sensitivity, attributes absent in European colonial banks, whose rigid lending policies were ill-suited for dynamic Asian commerce. Commodity trading finance constituted the largest segment of Ezra Brothers' lending portfolio. Asian international commerce presented specialized challenges, vast distances, and protracted transaction times. Furthermore, seasonal agricultural production generated volatile financing demands throughout the year. Repayment capabilities were heavily influenced by detailed factors such as crop cycles, weather risks, and fluctuating market conditions, all impossible to manage using standard European banking schedules. To address this, Ezra Brothers pioneered innovative financing arrangements. They meticulously aligned loan repayment schedules directly with agricultural production cycles, offering flexible terms capable of accommodating the inherent uncertainties of commodity trading, which often hinged on unpredictable weather, shifting political climates, and international market volatility. The bank's shipping finance solutions empowered merchants to acquire vessels, fund major cargo operations, and navigate the intricate financial demands of international seafaring that linked Asian goods to worldwide markets. This sector demanded fluency in maritime insurance, complex international trade regulations, and an acute awareness of political risks impacting global commerce. The credit arrangements provided were flexible, designed to stabilize the irregular cash flows typical of shipping enterprises. The bank cultivated specialized expertise in vetting shipping investments and developed financial instruments that allowed merchants to capitalize on lucrative opportunities without undertaking unacceptable financial exposure or stretching their existing capital resources. Real estate lending grew significantly as Singapore's commercial vibrancy fueled rapid population growth, generating massive demand for residential, commercial, and industrial properties. This required financing models meticulously adapted to local realities, far removed from standard European templates. Ezra Brothers furnished construction financing, land acquisition loans, and crucial development capital, driving Singapore's physical expansion. They achieved this while upholding conservative lending standards, protecting capital, and ensuring sustainable urban growth. Their deep real estate acumen allowed them to accurately assess property investments and structure innovative loans that effectively balanced the borrower's needs with the bank's profitability goals by appropriately sharing risks and rewards. Infrastructure financing was arguably the most complex dimension of Ezra Brothers' operations. These projects harbor improvements, road construction, and utility development demanded substantial long-term capital commitments with extended payback horizons, often generating indirect rather than immediate financial returns. The bank successfully funded these projects, which critically upgraded Singapore's commercial infrastructure by engineering financing arrangements that facilitated public-private partnerships. This was decades before such cooperative models gained traction within European colonial administration circles. Currency exchange operations proved indispensable to international commerce, simultaneously generating considerable profits for the Ezra Brothers. Their success stemmed from expert management of exchange rate risks and the shrewd exploitation of currency arbitrage, underpinned by superior market intelligence and extensive international contacts. Given Singapore's status as a vital crossroads for Asian trade, there was incessant demand for exchanging British pounds, Indian rupees, Chinese taels, Dutch guilders, and numerous local currencies necessary for transactions. This work demanded a sophisticated grasp of global monetary systems, political factors influencing exchange rates, and commercial flows driving supply and demand across diverse Asian markets. Ezra Brothers leveraged their widespread correspondent network throughout Asia to offer highly competitive exchange rates and rapid transaction processing, a critical advantage for clients where timing often dictated commercial profitability. Founded in 1863, the Manas banking house carved out a specialization in precious metals trading and international bullion operations. This focus connected Asian production of gold and silver directly to global markets, supported by banking services uniquely tailored to this commodity. Precious metals banking demanded a distinct skill set compared to general commercial lending, encompassing advanced commodity trading, currency hedging, and deep knowledge of international monetary mechanics. The Manasseh Bank excelled at assessing precious metals quality, skillfully managing price volatility, and financing mining operations across Southeast Asia. Their strong international ties facilitated highly profitable precious metals arbitrage. Furthermore, gold and silver trading offered avenues for currency arbitrage, exploiting price disparities between Asian and European markets, and provided vital monetary services for merchants needing cross-system conversion. Manasseh's mastery of precious metals allowed them to offer services that European banks could not match, building expertise in international monetary systems that benefited their foreign exchange and lending divisions. The Solomon Brothers Commercial Bank, established in 1866, dedicated itself to trade, finance, and letters of credit, LECs, essential tools for facilitating complex international transactions. They provided specialized, flexible financial instruments required by merchants navigating high-stakes global commerce. Letters of credit served as crucial payment guarantees, allowing merchants to seize international opportunities without needing immediate cash outlay, while simultaneously shielding suppliers from default risks that could wipe out trade profits. Running effective LC operations required a vast web of international correspondent relationships, highly sophisticated credit analysis, and a mastery of international commercial law. This allowed the bank to offer reliable guarantees that actively promoted profitable global trade. Other trade finance services included inventory financing, accounts receivable financing, and working capital loans, which helped merchants expand operations while skillfully managing the challenging cash flow requirements inherent in international trading, where payment cycles frequently surpassed the capital reserves available. By 1880, Jewish-owned financial institutions exerted dominant control over Singapore's finances. They managed roughly 70% of commercial lending, 85% of currency exchange, and 60% of international trade finance. They achieved profitability levels consistently surpassing those of European colonial banks, despite handling riskier markets and more intricate transactions. This success was a testament to their superior grasp of Asian commercial realities, international financial mechanics, and relationship-based business models, giving them a decisive competitive edge over European colonial institutions that often relied more heavily on political protection than genuine financial expertise. This banking revolution forged the essential financial infrastructure that allowed Singapore to handle increasingly sophisticated international commerce. The services provided fundamentally transformed the colony from a simple trading post into a powerful regional financial center, capable of competing head-to-head with long-established financial hubs across Asia. Most critically, Jewish innovation resulted in financial systems engineered specifically to serve Asian commercial needs, rather than merely fulfilling European colonial administrative requirements. The massive foreign exchange trading sector, which positions Singapore as the world's third-largest global currency center, is powered by financial institutions and trading platforms that originated from Jewish banking operations, established during the 19th century. Daily foreign exchange trading volumes now exceed $633 billion, fueling a foreign direct investment (FDI) stock valued at over $2.6 trillion by 2022. This focus fueled an unprecedented commercial expansion, yielding benefits for all participants in Singapore's diverse economy. By establishing Singapore as Asia's premier financial center, this banking revolution, driven by Jewish ingenuity, laid the groundwork for continued, sophisticated financial development as the city's international commercial importance soared throughout the late 19th century. This strategy of maximizing value from essential services continues today. Take Singapore Airlines. Despite global carriers struggling, SIA achieves an operating profit margin around 15%. This anomaly is rooted in optimizing the profit from premium travelers, where a small fraction of customers, roughly 12% of passengers, can account for as much as 75% of the airline's profits. This turns the high-end premium seats into the financial engine of the flight, maximizing revenue per square foot, a direct successor to the colonial trading strategy of extracting maximum value from strategic positioning. Singapore's ascent to become the global nexus of rubber trading was initiated by Jewish merchants who acutely recognized a coming market shift. The burgeoning automobile industry would generate unprecedented demand for rubber products. They identified that Southeast Asian plantations possessed the capability to meet this demand through innovative cultivation and processing methods designed to maximize both quality and yield. The rubber revolution truly began in 1876 when Abraham Elias, during his extensive travels through Malaysia and Indonesia, identified large-scale rubber cultivation as a major commercial opportunity. Elias noted that while local farmers were growing small amounts of rubber for customary uses, they lacked the requisite capital, technical know-how, and international market connections necessary for commercial mass production. Elias's commercial analysis, meticulously preserved in family archives, showcased remarkable strategic vision. His conclusion was unequivocal. The automobile industry would demand enormous quantities of rubber for tire manufacturing, and Southeast Asia's climate and soil were ideally suited for cultivation. He predicted that systematic plantation development would yield extraordinary profits while simultaneously spawning entirely new regional industries. This analysis proved astonishingly prescient. Automobile production skyrocketed from 4,000 vehicles annually in 1900 to more than 180,000 by 1910. This surge created a rubber demand that vastly outstripped available supply, driving prices to levels that made rubber cultivation significantly more lucrative than traditional staples like coffee or spices. Elias began the systematic acquisition of large tracts of land suitable for rubber cultivation across Malaysia and southern Thailand. Concurrently, he recruited agricultural experts tasked with developing plantation management techniques that utilized scientific cultivation methods, moving far beyond traditional farming practices to maximize output. This plantation development demanded substantial upfront capital for land acquisition, infrastructure installation, and technical expertise investments that would not yield returns for several years until the rubber trees reached maturity for commercial tapping. European colonial authorities displayed minimal interest in rubber cultivation, viewing it as an insignificant agricultural product with limited commercial scope, especially when compared to proven, high-profit commodities like coffee, sugar, and spices traded through existing networks. This colonial short-sightedness provided Jewish merchants a critical window of opportunity to establish dominant positions in rubber cultivation and trading before the authorities grasped the massive commercial potential unleashed by the automotive industry's surging demand. Between 1880 and 1895, the Elias family invested over $2.3 million, the equivalent of $67 million today, into rubber plantation development. Simultaneously, they engineered groundbreaking cultivation techniques that pushed rubber yields far beyond any prior achievement in Southeast Asian agriculture. Scientific plantation management involved systematic tree spacing to optimize sun exposure, sophisticated irrigation systems to ensure consistent soil moisture, and specialized tapping methods that maximized rubber production while safeguarding long-term tree health. The agricultural innovations increased rubber yields by an astonishing 340% compared to traditional methods, while efficient organization leveraging both scientific principles and local agricultural knowledge drove down production costs. The stringent quality control systems, implemented by the Elias family, ensured their rubber met precise international industrial specifications and maintained the consistency required for long-term supply contracts with major global manufacturers. By 1900, Elias family plantations commanded 35% of Singapore's rubber exports, realizing annual profit margins that soared above 400% during peak demand periods, when accelerating automobile production overwhelmed the expansion of rubber supply. The exceptional profitability immediately drew further Jewish investment, as other families recognized the immense commercial promise proven by Elias's success in Southeast Asian rubber production and international marketing. The Ezra family began establishing rubber plantations across southern Thailand, devising innovative financing models that allowed for aggressive cultivation expansion without draining their immediate financial reserves. These innovations included comprehensive partnership agreements with local landowners. Locals provided the land and labor in exchange for a share of rubber production profits, while the Ezra family contributed capital, technical expertise, and essential international marketing infrastructure. This partnership approach facilitated rapid expansion while successfully securing local community support. The model respected traditional land usage and simultaneously created profound new economic opportunities for local populations. This cooperative method outperformed European colonial plantation development, which frequently relied on land confiscation and forced labor practices that inevitably generated local opposition and political complications, ultimately reducing profitability through continuous conflict management. The Manas family strategically directed their efforts toward rubber trading and processing, bridging the gap between Southeast Asian production and international consumption. They developed value-added processing capabilities that substantially boosted profit margins through product differentiation and quality enhancement. Rubber processing was highly technical, requiring expertise in chemical treatment, quality standardization, and sophisticated packaging systems to preserve product integrity during prolonged international shipping, while meeting strict industrial specifications in Europe and North America. Manas family operations were able to secure extra profit margins from trading while simultaneously increasing the intrinsic value of Southeast Asian rubber for both producers and buyers. This specialized technical knowledge provided a competitive advantage that European colonial trading houses were unable to replicate, as rubber processing demanded a highly specialized skill set nurtured over years of practical experience and continuous technical innovation. The Solomon family concentrated their efforts on establishing rubber transportation and logistics operations, ensuring a seamless connection between plantation output and international shipping. They developed innovative storage and handling protocols critical for preserving product quality throughout extended transport periods. Rubber logistics required specialized facilities designed to shield the product from moisture, temperature extremes, and contamination, all while maintaining the operational efficiency needed to minimize international shipping costs. This logistics expertise allowed the Solomon family to offer transportation services to other rubber producers, simultaneously giving them control over key transportation infrastructure that influenced the overall profitability of rubber operations across Southeast Asia. By 1910, Jewish family rubber enterprises controlled an overwhelming majority of the sector, 67% of Singapore's rubber trading, 45% of regional plantation production, and 80% of processing and transportation services, collectively generating annual profits topping $12 million. The rubber empire expansion aligned perfectly with the explosive surge in global automobile manufacturing, which boosted rubber demand by 400% between 1900 and 1915. This created opportunities for trading profits that dwarfed any previously recorded in agricultural commodity history. The adoption of mass production techniques by companies like Ford Motor Company drove up automobile output and established a standardized demand for rubber. This standardization enabled long-term supply contracts with predictable volumes and pricing, significantly mitigating market risks while sustaining exceptional profitability. Jewish rubber merchants cultivated direct, strategic relationships with major automakers, including Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler, often providing technical expertise that helped these manufacturers optimize rubber use in vehicle production. These crucial manufacturer relationships ensured a stable demand channel for Southeast Asian rubber, allowing Jewish merchants to benefit directly from the automobile industry's growth via long-term supply agreements that guaranteed both market access and pricing stability. The labor systems implemented on Jewish-owned rubber plantations relied on paid labor, a stark departure from the forced labor systems frequently utilized by European colonial plantations. This fostered more stable workforce relationships, boosting productivity and minimizing political complications. The provision of fair wages attracted skilled workers who specialized in rubber cultivation and processing, generating positive local economic development and supporting plantation operations through genuine community prosperity, not exploitation. These labor policies were a direct reflection of the Jewish commercial culture, which prioritized long-term relationship building and mutual benefit over short-term exploitation that invariably led to persistent operational disruption and political conflict. The triumph of the rubber empire powerfully demonstrated that specialized Jewish commercial expertise could create entirely new global industries by systematically applying international business acumen to local production opportunities that European colonial authorities had consistently dismissed or undervalued. Rubber development proved that commercial innovation could not only yield spectacular profits, but also generate broad economic opportunities for local populations through business practices that honored cultural traditions while introducing cutting-edge commercial techniques. By 1920, Singapore stood as the world's leading rubber trading center, with Jewish family businesses controlling the commercial infrastructure, financial mechanisms, and international linkages that channeled Southeast Asian rubber to global markets, effectively transforming regional agriculture into a global industry. The rubber empire stands as the single most successful demonstration of Jewish commercial innovation in Southeast Asian history, proving that superior business intelligence and cultural adaptability could secure dominant market positions without requiring political privileges or governmental backing. However, the rubber success was merely one facet of a systematic Jewish economic expansion that strategically included real estate development, international banking, and accumulating political influence, all contributing to Singapore's ultimate transformation from a mere colonial trading port into the undisputed commercial capital of Southeast Asia. The systematic Jewish influence over Singapore's governmental policies operated through sophisticated lobbying networks, strategic political relationships, and potent economic leverage. These mechanisms enabled Jewish merchant families to profoundly shape taxation, commercial regulations, and infrastructure development, while maintaining complete invisibility from public political processes. This system of political influence solidified during the 1952 when British colonial authorities definitively recognized that Singapore's economic health was reliant on the commercial expertise and international connections controlled by Jewish families. While European colonial administrators struggled with Asian market conditions and global commercial trends, David Marshall, Singapore's first chief minister, 1955-1956, cultivated extensive consultative relationships with Jewish business leaders. They provided expert economic counsel that shaped governmental policies concerning international commerce, infrastructure development, and financial regulation. Marshall's private correspondence, preserved in Singapore's National Archives, documents regular meetings with Abraham Elias, Ezra, and other prominent Jewish leaders. These individuals offered detailed analyses of economic conditions while providing policy recommendations that simultaneously served Jewish commercial interests and Singapore's broader economic development objectives. The consultation arrangements remained informal rather than official because Jewish families preferred exercising political influence without public recognition, which could attract unwanted attention to their commercial operations or incite political opposition from groups potentially resentful of Jewish political involvement. They never sought the spotlight. They sought control. They understood that informal influence was far more effective than public participation. The informal influence proved more effective than formal political participation. It allowed Jewish families to shape critical policy decisions without assuming public accountability for governmental actions, while maintaining the flexibility to support or oppose specific legislation based entirely on its prospective impact on their commercial interests. Lee Kuan Yew, who became Prime Minister in 1959, developed even closer ties with Jewish business leaders, the Godfather's alliance. Lee Kuan Yew needed their commercial expertise and global connections to build a modern state. In return, he gave them regulatory certainty and zero tax liability. They offered essential support for Singapore's aggressive economic modernization policies and provided international connections vital for attracting foreign investment and expanding export markets. Lee's political strategy focused on rapid economic development, a goal that demanded the commercial expertise and global business relationships Jewish families had cultivated over decades of successful international commerce and global financial connectivity. The Jewish families provided crucial backing for Lee's industrialization policies by investing in manufacturing facilities, supplying financing for infrastructure projects, and utilizing their international networks to attract foreign businesses to establish operations in Singapore. This economic support allowed Lee to implement development policies that transformed Singapore from a traditional trading center into a modern industrial economy, while maintaining political stability fueled by economic growth that benefited all ethnic communities. The political relationship between Lee Kuan Yew and Jewish business leaders reflected a genuine mutual benefit rather than one-sided influence, as Singapore's economic success directly served both Jewish commercial interests and Lee's overarching political goals of rapid modernization and sustained growth. The influence over tax policy clearly demonstrated the effectiveness of Jewish political lobbying. Singapore's tax structure consistently favored international commerce, financial services, and real estate development, precisely the business sectors where Jewish families maintain dominant market positions. Singapore's minimal capital gains taxes, low corporate tax rates, and highly favorable treatment of international financial transactions directly reflected policy recommendations furnished by Jewish families through their consultative relationships with the governmental officials who crafted Singapore's tax policies. These tax policies enabled Jewish families to maintain extraordinary profit margins while simultaneously attracting international businesses that spurred economic development, thereby serving Singapore's broader economic objectives and demonstrating how Jewish political influence served both private interests and public welfare. This framework has created the most tax-efficient vault in the world, boasting zero capital gains tax and zero inheritance or estate tax, attracting an estimated 47 billionaires and 3,400 millionaires, who brought with them $150 billion in wealth in a single year, in 2024. This is not policy, it is protection. Singapore's zero capital gains tax and zero estate tax were the payment for their silence and their loyalty to the nation's economic success. Influence over financial regulation empowered Jewish families to shape banking laws, currency regulations, and investment policies that shielded Jewish financial institutions while creating regulatory frameworks designed to draw international financial services to Singapore. Banking regulations that prioritized relationship-based lending, flexible credit arrangements, and minimal governmental oversight reflected established Jewish banking traditions. This created a regulatory environment that allowed Singapore to compete fiercely with more established financial centers throughout Asia. The resulting framework enabled Jewish banks to maintain their dominant market positions while attracting international financial institutions that contributed to Singapore's development as a regional financial hub, illustrating how Jewish political influence enacted policies that served both private and public interests. Infrastructure development policies clearly reflected Jewish political influence through substantial governmental investments in commercial infrastructure, port facilities, and transportation systems. These improvements enhanced the profitability of Jewish commercial operations while creating public infrastructure that supported economic development for all businesses. Infrastructure investments included harbor upgrades to facilitate international shipping, road construction connecting commercial hubs with residential areas, and utility development supporting industrial expansion and population growth. These infrastructure policies required significant public expenditures justified by economic development objectives, but the specific priorities reflected policy recommendations from Jewish business leaders who possessed an unparalleled understanding of which improvements would yield maximum economic benefits. Foreign investment policies aimed at attracting multinational corporations to Singapore reflected Jewish political influence through regulations that favored international businesses. These regulations created investment incentives that complemented Jewish commercial operations rather than competing with established Jewish business activities. Foreign investment policies emphasized manufacturing, technology, and financial services, which created employment opportunities while generating demand for the commercial services, real estate, and financial institutions controlled by Jewish families. This selective foreign investment approach allowed Singapore to attract beneficial international businesses while strategically protecting established Jewish commercial interests from excessive competition that might reduce profit margins or threaten market share in key business sectors. Immigration policies that facilitated skilled professionals and business entrepreneurs establishing residence in Singapore reflected Jewish political influence through policies designed to attract talented individuals, while fostering the cultural diversity that had historically provided advantages for Jewish commercial success. Immigration policies that welcomed professionals, entrepreneurs, and skilled workers created a diverse population that enhanced Singapore's commercial capabilities, while preserving a cultural environment where Jewish families could continue to operate effectively across ethnic and religious boundaries. Labor policies that emphasized technical training, education, and workforce development reflected Jewish political influence through policies that generated a skilled workforce capable of supporting the sophisticated commercial and financial operations essential for Jewish businesses' continued expansion. Educational policies prioritizing English language instruction, technical education, and international business training produced workforce capabilities that enhanced Singapore's commercial competitiveness, while supplying skilled employees for Jewish commercial operations. The political influence also extended to international relations policies that established Singapore as a neutral commercial center. Singapore maintained trading relationships with all nations, regardless of political conflict, and offered tax haven advantages that attracted international wealth management business. Singapore's neutrality policies enabled sustained commercial relationships globally, while providing political stability that protected international business operations from the political disruptions that could affect commercial profitability. This international relations approach mirrored the traditional Jewish commercial culture that emphasized business relationships transcending political boundaries, enabling profitable commercial operations, regardless of international political conflicts that often disrupted less flexible business models. By 1965, Jewish political influence had successfully shaped governmental policies that created optimal conditions for continued Jewish commercial dominance. At the same time, this influence contributed significantly to Singapore's transformation into a modern commercial and financial center that attracted international businesses and generated prosperity for all ethnic communities. The nature of this political influence demonstrated that specialized business expertise could contribute to effective governmental policy, illustrating how private commercial interests could align perfectly with public economic development objectives when business leaders possessed a deep understanding of economic conditions and international commercial trends. But the most important aspect of Jewish political influence was the successful preservation of traditional invisibility. This shielded Jewish families from political opposition, while enabling continued influence over policies affecting their commercial interests, without creating public resentment or a political backlash that could jeopardize their economic positions. The political influence had achieved optimal results. Governmental policies that served Jewish commercial interests, while contributing to Singapore's broader economic development objectives, all while maintaining complete invisibility from public political processes that could create unwanted attention or opposition. This political stability is secured by extreme military power. Following its forced independence in 1965, Lee Kuan Yew articulated Singapore's survival instinct. In a world where big fish eat small fish, Singapore must become a poisonous shrimp in order to survive. To deter potential regional aggressors, Singapore maintains one of the world's most heavily militarized armed forces relative to its size. Its military budget, at approximately $15 billion 2024, is larger than that of both Malaysia and Indonesia combined. This defense capacity is crucial. It acts as an indispensable insurance policy for the nation's massive foreign direct investment (FDI) stock, signaling to foreign investors that their capital stored here will be safe and protected. The political stability provided by the People's Action Party (PAP), ruling since 1965, ensures this consistency. The government, backed by the zero-tolerance policy on corruption and severe penalties, provides the long-term predictability that global elites need, effectively turning the small nation into a safe haven for capital, much like the Jewish families originally sought. However, this carefully balanced stability faces its greatest threat: the geopolitical clash between the United States and China. Singapore remains strategically indispensable, hosting U.S. military facilities, while China is its largest trading partner. A conflict over Taiwan would force Singapore to choose sides, threatening its financial system. If the U.S. imposes sanctions on China, Chinese capital, $156 billion invested from China, HK, would flee Singapore, crushing the economy. Conversely, if Singapore refused to cooperate with the U.S., America could restrict Singapore's own access to the crucial US dollar financial system, which is the backbone of its banking industry. The ultimate choice. If Washington cuts off Singapore from the US dollar financial system, the entire financial fortress built over 150 years will crumble overnight. The Japanese occupation of Singapore between 1942 and 1945 posed the most severe existential threat ever to the Jewish community's commercial preeminence in Southeast Asia. Yet, these prominent Jewish merchant families demonstrated remarkable strategic foresight and adaptability, managing to safeguard their substantial wealth and maintain crucial commercial ties that ensured swift recovery following the war. The Japanese invasion immediately created grave threats, exposing Jewish families to potential persecution, systematic elimination, and outright confiscation of assets, tactics that military authorities had employed elsewhere in occupied Asia. Recognizing this danger well before the invasion, Abraham Elias, the patriarch of the massive Elias trading empire, initiated sophisticated wealth protection strategies months in advance. These plans were designed to secure family assets, while simultaneously establishing clear evacuation routes should persecution become imminent. This systematic strategy included liquidating easily traceable liquid assets into portable valuables, legally transferring the titles of major real estate holdings to trusted non-Jewish business associates, and setting up financial accounts in officially neutral nations, ensuring accessibility regardless of the eventual Japanese occupation policies. Elias's family archives reveal a highly sophisticated understanding of typical Japanese occupation governance, highlighting their detailed preparation for survival under a hostile military regime. Knowing that Japanese authorities would seize visible Jewish assets, while often permitting continued operations by enterprises seemingly controlled by local collaborators, survival hinged on invisible ownership arrangements. This was the ultimate test of trust. They legally signed away everything: land, banks, assets to non-Jewish partners. These men risked their lives to maintain the illusion of ownership for 3 years. This ingenious strategy involved the formal, legal transfer of business titles to long-standing Chinese and Arab partners. Crucially, these transfers were underpinned by confidential side agreements, guaranteeing the full restoration of actual ownership once the conflict concluded. These arrangements required an extraordinary level of mutual trust. The local partners risked their personal safety by shielding Jewish assets and maintaining commercial operations that provided benefits to all parties throughout the precarious occupation period. The Ezra family implemented comparable strategies, but focused heavily on transferring banking assets to international correspondent banks. They maintained operational control in Singapore through trusted local managers capable of running the business without disclosing Jewish ownership to Japanese authorities. The process of banking asset protection involved intricate financial maneuvers. Ownership was technically shifted to international institutions, yet secret covenants ensured the Ezra's full control over Singapore's banking operations would be restored post-war. This complexity allowed the Ezra Bank to function throughout the occupation, while its capital was shielded from confiscation, appearing to satisfy Japanese ownership mandates without ever ceding true control to the military government or local collaborators. In contrast, the Manasseh family emphasized securing physical assets, deploying elaborate concealment strategies to hide valuable inventory, hidden in plain sight. Gold, silver, and the family jewels were systematically buried or hidden beneath the very streets the Japanese walked. Their survival hinged on absolute silence. Simultaneously, they maintained active commercial operations to generate necessary income without ever exposing the true extent of the family's accumulated wealth to the Japanese. Precious metals, rare gemstones, and other high-value inventory were systematically hidden across various secure locations in Singapore that authorities were unable to locate. They kept just enough visible assets to continue business operations, meet Japanese economic demands, and avoid drawing undue scrutiny. The Manasseh concealment plans necessitated meticulous organization and reliable local community support to ensure the safe storage of valuables while running profitable enterprises for family sustenance during the occupation. The Solomon family adopted yet another distinct survival strategy: complete evacuation to India. This required abandoning physical holdings in Singapore but preserved vital international business connections and financial reserves, supporting the family abroad while they prepared for an eventual, rapid return to commercial life in Singapore. This evacuation reflected a calculated judgment. Personal survival was paramount over physical asset protection, and international relationships could be rebuilt more easily than personal safety if Japanese persecution became systematic. These preemptive Jewish survival strategies proved highly effective, successfully navigating the worst phases of Japanese persecution while retaining sufficient capital and business relationships to facilitate swift post-war reconstruction. Japanese occupation policies toward Jewish enterprises, in fact, turned out to be less ruthlessly systematic than initially feared. Japanese authorities prioritized military objectives and economic resource extraction over implementing the comprehensive anti-Jewish measures seen in other parts of occupied Asia. Their economic focus was maintaining necessary commercial operations to sustain the war effort and maximizing resource extraction, thereby inadvertently creating opportunities for businesses that could contribute to these economic requirements without challenging political or military authority. The Jewish merchant families who stayed in Singapore discovered that their specialized commercial expertise and extensive international networks were highly valued by Japanese economic administrators who desperately needed experienced merchants to keep key commercial operations functioning in support of military needs. This necessary collaboration required a delicate balancing act, providing services that met Japanese demands, while strictly avoiding any activities that could jeopardize future post-war business standing or lead to personal liability for aiding the Japanese war machine. The Chinese business associates who safeguarded Jewish assets demonstrated extraordinary loyalty and courage, risking their own well-being to preserve the family's wealth while maintaining mutually beneficial commercial activities under profoundly dangerous and uncertain conditions. These powerful partnerships were the result of decades of reciprocal trust and shared commercial interests that had successfully bridged ethnic and religious divides, forging personal bonds essential for cooperation during times of extreme stress. The successful preservation of assets ensured Jewish families retained the economic fuel crucial for rapid post-war reconstruction. Furthermore, the war years themselves inadvertently created new avenues for profit. Jewish merchants adapted swiftly, leveraging their international connections, which would prove invaluable once global trade normalized, to engage in activities like black market trading, currency exchange, and commodity arbitrage. This wartime commerce required extreme discretion and sophisticated risk management skills that Jewish merchants had honed over centuries of navigating unstable political environments while maintaining profitable operations despite persecution and disruption. By 1944, the Jewish families who had remained in Singapore had fully adapted to the Japanese administration and had strategically positioned themselves for immediate, massive reconstruction. As Allied victory became certain and Japanese control waned, their adaptation showcased remarkable strategic resilience, enabling survival and maintaining the economic foundations necessary for a rapid post-war expansion. When Singapore's commercial vitality was restored, the empire never fell. While other businesses crumbled, they were simply lying in wait, ready for the massive post-war expansion. The entire occupation period proved that Jewish commercial capabilities could withstand even systematic military rule, preserving the financial and relational capital that underpinned their continuing dominance in Singapore's post-war commercial development. They survived the Japanese. They survived the British. But the greatest threat to their hidden empire isn't war, it's geopolitics. But the enduring lesson from the war years emphasized that Jewish commercial success hinged on flexibility, vast international networks, and relationship-based business practices capable of adapting to political volatility while preserving essential commercial capabilities for rapid recovery from any temporary collapse. The conflict severely tested Jewish commercial resilience, yet ultimately demonstrated that superior business intelligence and relationship management were capable of overcoming the most severe political and military challenges aimed at the destruction of decades-long commercial operations. The Japanese surrender in August 1945 unleashed unparalleled opportunities for Jewish merchant families. They were poised not only to rebuild their Singapore commercial empires, but also to aggressively capitalize on the economic chaos, infrastructure destruction, and elimination of many pre-war competitors which generated enormous demand for reconstruction services and renewed international trade. The Elias family returned to Singapore in September 1945 to discover the spectacular effectiveness of their asset protection plan. 70% of their pre-war wealth was intact, and their Chinese business partners had successfully maintained commercial operations, generating profits throughout the occupation years. Abraham Elias's initial post-war report to his family members sheltering in India documented both the devastation and the immense potential. He noted, Japanese occupation destroyed much commercial infrastructure, but eliminated many European competitors while creating demand for all commercial services. Our preserved assets and maintained relationships provide extraordinary opportunities for expansion. The family's reconstruction strategy immediately prioritized the rapid recapture of their dominant market share in rubber trading, plantation management, and commodity commerce, while simultaneously branching into new business sectors opened or made accessible by wartime disruption. Restoring rubber plantation productivity, which had been decimated by Japanese neglect and resource extraction, required significant capital. However, global demand for rubber products was skyrocketing as industrial expansion in North America and Europe resumed. The Elias family strategically invested $3.7 million in plantation reconstruction between 1946 and 1947. Furthermore, they aggressively expanded cultivation into territories previously held by European colonial interests that had either abandoned or lost their holdings during the war. This expansion allowed the Elias family to dramatically increase their share of Singapore's rubber exports from 35% in 1941 to an astonishing 52% by 1948, benefiting greatly from soaring global rubber prices that reflected continued automotive production and industrial growth. The Ezra family's banking reconstruction proved even more successful as post-war economic development triggered an acute need for commercial financing, currency exchange, and international banking services, all of which had been shattered across Southeast Asia during the war. Ezra Brothers Bank swiftly reopened in October 1945, utilizing its preserved capital to immediately resume critical lending operations, while competing banks struggled desperately to rebuild their resources and re-establish international correspondent relationships that the war had severed. This decisive competitive advantage allowed Ezra Brothers to rapidly capture market share from vulnerable European colonial banks. They also strategically diversified into burgeoning financial services created by Reconstruction, including infrastructure financing, industrial development loans, and international trade finance for merchants restarting their enterprises. By 1947, Ezra Brothers controlled 45% of Singapore's commercial lending, generating profits that surpassed pre-war levels. Through expansion into sophisticated financial services that had not been prevalent before the wartime disruption created new commercial opportunities. Their currency exchange operations proved especially profitable as post-war economic instability generated frequent exchange rate volatility, while the resumption of international commerce fueled massive demand for conversion services requiring their specialized international financial connectivity. The Manas family's operations in precious metals and luxury goods capitalized on the burgeoning post-war prosperity. This prosperity translated into increased demand for high-end products, even as wartime disruption had severely reduced the supply of luxury goods and precious metals across Asian and global markets. Post-war economic growth created a new class of wealthy Asian customers who had accumulated capital during the war but lacked access to luxury items. Peacetime international trade, re-established through the Manasseh networks, filled this gap. The family's conserved international connections ensured the swift revival of their luxury goods trade, expanding into new markets made accessible to merchants, possessing the necessary global ties and financial reserves. Trading in precious metals became especially profitable. As monetary instability post-war drove up demand for gold and silver as reliable stores of value, offering alternatives to volatile currencies plagued by inflation and political uncertainty. The Solomon family's Reconstruction strategy centered on large-scale industrial development and infrastructure projects, vital investments required for Singapore's economic modernization. These projects, including warehouse construction, shipping facility development, and commercial building projects, created immediate construction profits and guaranteed long-term rental income from businesses needing modern premises for expansion. This focus on infrastructure not only modernized Singapore's commercial facilities, but also created durable physical assets that would generate income for decades, supporting sustained economic expansion beneficial to all commercial sectors. Collectively, the Jewish family's reconstruction efforts were instrumental in driving Singapore's remarkably rapid post-war economic recovery. Their experience demonstrated how preserved wealth and maintained business relationships could be leveraged into extraordinary opportunities during periods of extreme economic upheaval and competitive elimination. By 1950, the Jewish commercial operations had not merely regained their pre-war standing, they had profoundly expanded their collective share of Singapore's international commerce, growing from 45% in 1941 to a commanding 67% in 1950. While generating combined profits that were 190% higher than pre-war levels. This massive expansion was a direct result of their successful wartime survival strategies, combined with superior commercial acumen, enabling them to swiftly exploit post-war opportunities, while European rivals struggled to rebuild operations, lacking the preserved capital and essential relationships held by the Jewish families. This post-war triumph confirmed that Jewish commercial flexibility and international expertise offered decisive advantages during periods of economic disruption, wiping out less sophisticated competitors and creating fertile ground for merchants possessing superior business intelligence and relationship management skills. The Reconstruction period simultaneously ushered in the era of systematic political influence that Jewish families began exerting over Singapore's nascent governmental policies. British colonial authorities, upon their return, quickly recognized the indispensable role Jewish commercial operations played in sustaining Singapore's economic engine. Colonial officials found that Jewish merchant families had preserved crucial commercial infrastructure, whereas established European colonial trading houses had suffered significant losses in market share and capability that would require years to remedy. This acknowledgement of Jewish commercial importance led to institutionalized consultation arrangements. Colonial authorities proactively sought advice from key Jewish business leaders regarding economic policies affecting Singapore's commercial future, thereby granting them informal political leverage that shielded and advanced Jewish commercial interests. These political relationships stemmed from the practical recognition that Singapore's ongoing economic development required the commercial expertise and international connectivity possessed by Jewish families, qualities that European colonial administrators lacked, especially regarding detailed understanding of Asian commercial conditions. This informal political sway allowed Jewish families to subtly shape governmental policies regarding taxation, international trade regulations, and infrastructure development, all while maintaining their traditional preference for operating outside of official channels, ensuring their political activities remained discreet and publicly unacknowledged. The success of the Reconstruction phase established patterns of intergenerational wealth and political influence that would allow Jewish families to maintain economic dominance throughout Singapore's eventual transition to independence, adapting their business operations to evolving political landscapes. But the most important aspect of post-war reconstruction was proving that Jewish commercial capabilities could adapt to virtually any economic or political condition, maintaining profitable operations that generated family wealth while simultaneously fueling the economic development that benefited Singapore's diverse populace. The Reconstruction was definitive proof that Jewish commercial dominance was not a fleeting wartime chance, but reflected fundamental commercial advantages, ensuring continued influence over Singapore's economic trajectory, regardless of political shifts. The groundwork was now fully laid for the final phase of Jewish commercial expansion that would ultimately transform Singapore into the modern financial center of Southeast Asia, all while carefully upholding the traditional cloak of invisibility that protected their commercial interests from political interference or social opposition. The systematic Jewish acquisition of Singapore's most valuable real estate was rooted in a fundamental recognition. The island's strategic location and rapidly accelerating commercial importance would create an unprecedented demand for commercial and residential property. This insight promised extraordinary wealth through patient capital investment and systematic, long-term development. The Ezra family's real estate dominance began in 1863, when Ezra acquired 47 acres of undeveloped waterfront land for only $12,000 a property that now constitutes Singapore's central business district and yields annual rental income exceeding $400 million. Ezra's purchase strategy revealed a sophisticated mastery of urban planning and commercial geography, allowing him to pinpoint locations destined to appreciate immensely as Singapore's function grew far beyond that of a rudimentary colonial trading post. These waterfront assets offered direct access to shipping infrastructure, growing exponentially in value as Singapore established itself as a regional commercial hub, while providing optimal sites for the commercial buildings, warehouses, and office complexes required by expanding businesses. European colonial authorities showed little inclination towards systematic property development, viewing Singapore as a transient commercial outpost rather than a permanent metropolis demanding comprehensive infrastructure. This colonial short-sightedness opened a significant pathway for Jewish merchants to secure premium development sites at agricultural prices, perfectly positioning them to harvest the benefits of the urban expansion that their own trading activities were fueling. The Ezra family strategy centered on commercial properties designed to generate dual returns, consistent rental income, and significant value appreciation, fueled by Singapore's economic boom. This created multiple revenue streams, offering both immediate returns and profound long-term capital growth. Developing high-end commercial buildings demanded massive capital outlays for construction, infrastructure, and tenant customization, with returns materializing only once the properties were fully leased, at rates commensurate with the building's eventual value, not just its construction costs. This application of patient capital allowed Ezra family operations to erect superior commercial properties that drew premium tenants and became architectural landmarks, significantly appreciating property values across Singapore's commercial core. This architectural focus mirrored Jewish cultural traditions, prioritizing permanent construction and aesthetic quality, contrasting sharply with the temporary commercial structures typically built by European colonial merchants for immediate, short-term use. By 1880, Ezra family holdings included prestigious assets like the Singapore Exchange Building, the Commercial Bank Building, and the International Trade Center, accommodating major trading houses and generating rental revenue that surpassed the family's profits from their core trading operations. The Manas family strategically directed their efforts toward residential development, catering to Singapore's expanding class of prosperous merchants, professional managers, and government officials who demanded high-quality housing commensurate with their social standing and commercial achievements. Residential construction required specialized expertise distinct from commercial development, as properties needed to accommodate the cultural preferences of diverse ethnic groups, while offering the modern amenities expected by wealthy residents accustomed to international living standards. Manas's portfolio included luxury apartments, bespoke mansions, and master planned residential communities, all featuring advanced infrastructure while sensitively adhering to the cultural traditions that shaped housing preferences across Singapore's varied population. Their strategy stressed architectural excellence and superior construction, establishing prestigious addresses and securing high rental income from tenants who could afford premium housing costs. The Manas family created a residential empire spanning Singapore's most coveted areas, setting architectural and landscaping benchmarks that influenced subsequent development across the island. This success was a clear result of their deep understanding of cultural nuances and lifestyle preferences, enabling them to construct housing that satisfied diverse communities while preserving property values through meticulous maintenance and quality build. The Solomon family concentrated their efforts on industrial and warehouse development, providing essential infrastructure to support Singapore's rapidly expanding commercial activities, including international trade, manufacturing, and shipping, all demanding highly specialized facilities. Industrial development called for technical mastery in facility design, infrastructure planning, and operational efficiency. Their goal was to maximize business productivity and minimize operating costs through strategically chosen locations and optimized facility layouts. Warehouse operations offered indispensable services for global trading, supplying the storage, processing, and distribution capabilities that linked Singapore's port facilities to clients across Southeast Asia. This industrial expertise enabled Solomon family operations to furnish specialized sites for diverse commercial needs, including commodity processing, manufacturing plants, shipping services, and international distribution, each requiring unique facility designs and infrastructure capacities. By 1890, Solomon Family Industrial Holdings included the Singapore Commercial Complex, the International Warehouse District, and specialized facilities tailored for rubber processing, spice handling, and precious metals trading. These assets served the Jewish family's core commercial operations while generating significant rental income from external merchants. This pivotal industrial development not only established Singapore's essential commercial infrastructure, but also offered lucrative investment opportunities that beautifully complemented their trading enterprises, allowing real estate to benefit directly from the same commercial growth that fueled their trading profits. The Sassoon family's real estate approach centered on mixed-use development, skillfully combining commercial, residential, and recreational facilities to create planned communities, offering comprehensive urban amenities for Singapore's expanding population. This mixed-use strategy demanded sophisticated planning capabilities and massive capital resources necessary for large-scale urban projects that transformed entire neighborhoods and established integrated communities, serving varied residential and commercial needs. Sassoon projects, notably the Raffles Hotel District, the Orchard Road commercial area, and various planned residential developments, solidified Singapore's reputation for superior urban planning and architectural quality. This integrated development model fostered a synergistic relationship between commercial, residential, and recreational assets, substantially elevating property values across Sassoon developments. It attracted affluent residents and successful enterprises, boosting the prestige and profitability of the entire districts. The architectural standards set by the Sassoon family influenced construction across Singapore, lending an aesthetic distinction that differentiated the city from other colonial trading centers, which often prioritized mere functionality over architectural quality. By 1900, Jewish family real estate operations commanded substantial market share. Approximately 35% of Singapore's commercial real estate, 25% of luxury residential properties, and 60% of industrial and warehouse facilities, collectively yielding over $3.2 million in annual rental income. This triumph in real estate stemmed from patient capital strategies that prioritized long-term value creation over immediate profit maximization. They developed properties intended to serve the community's enduring needs rather than capitalize on fleeting commercial trends. Their development philosophy emphasized quality construction, architectural distinction, and integrated planning, generating lasting value and contributing to Singapore's urban growth in ways that benefited the populace broadly, extending beyond narrow Jewish commercial interests. The real estate empire proved that systematic property investment could generate immense wealth while constructing the vital urban infrastructure needed for community development, enhancing Singapore's reputation as a sophisticated commercial center rather than a mere temporary colonial staging point. These property holdings established intergenerational wealth, securing Jewish families' economic influence, independent of their trading activities, providing stable income that financed further commercial expansion and substantial philanthropic endeavors that uplifted Singapore's diverse communities. This comprehensive real estate development set architectural and planning standards that profoundly shaped Singapore's physical growth for generations, creating the commercial and residential infrastructure necessary to support population increases and economic expansion, transforming the island into a major global metropolis. Crucially, Jewish real estate development created the physical foundation that buttressed the commercial and financial activities, making Singapore an economic regional powerhouse, simultaneously generating the wealth that allowed Jewish families to exert significant political influence in shaping governmental policies and securing Singapore's ongoing development. The real estate empire had successfully laid the physical groundwork for Singapore's transformation into Southeast Asia's commercial capital, while generating the wealth required to influence the political and economic policies, determining Singapore's destiny. The contemporary influence of Jewish merchant families on Singapore's economy remains profound, but is deliberately concealed through complex corporate structures, international ownership arrangements, and name changes that obscure the extent to which Singapore's modern commercial dominance reflects the continuation of business empires established during the 19th century. The Sassoon family commercial empire today operates through Keystone Capital Management, based in Singapore's prestigious financial district, which controls over $8.3 billion in assets spanning real estate development, international shipping, commodity trading, and financial services throughout Southeast Asia and beyond. Keystone's investment portfolio includes controlling interests in Singapore's largest commercial real estate developments, major shipping companies that dominate Southeast Asian cargo transportation, and financial institutions that provide extensive commercial lending throughout the region. The opaque corporate structure obscures Sassoon family control through multiple subsidiary companies, international holding corporations, and complex partnership arrangements, making it virtually impossible for outsiders to identify the true extent of family wealth or influence over Singapore's core commercial activities. Jonathan Sassoon, the current family patriarch, maintains such effective anonymity that most Singapore business journalists do not recognize his name, despite his company's controlling interests in developments that physically shape Singapore's landscape and commercial infrastructure. The anonymity reflects a deliberate family strategy that has enabled sustained commercial expansion while avoiding public attention that could create political complications or attract aggressive business competitors who might attempt to challenge Sassoon family market dominance in key business sectors. The Elias family legacy continues through Pacific Agricultural Holdings, which controls rubber plantations, agricultural technology companies, and commodity trading operations throughout Southeast Asia, while maintaining headquarters in Singapore that coordinate international operations spanning 6 countries. Pacific Agricultural Holdings operates rubber plantations covering over 400,000 acres throughout Malaysia and Indonesia, while controlling processing facilities, transportation, logistics, and international marketing networks that the Elias agricultural empire seamlessly bridges Southeast Asian farm output with global consumer markets. This sophisticated operation generates over $2.1 billion annually and commands significant market power, controlling more than 35% of the region's rubber exports. alongside dominant positions in palm oil, coffee, and spice trading. These diversified strategies are the result of decades of strategic agricultural investment. The modern farming practices employed utilize advanced technology, prioritize sustainability, and integrate sophisticated logistics networks. This ensures competitive advantages while expertly adapting the Elias family's traditional commercial prowess to meet strict modern agricultural and environmental standards. The Ezra family's formidable banking legacy is channeled through Singapore International Financial Services, SIVS. SIFS offers private banking, international trade finance, and critical currency exchange services, maintaining a dominant position in high-level commercial activities, sectors that the Jewish families have meticulously controlled for over 150 years. SIFS currently oversees more than $12.7 billion in managed assets. It provides highly specialized financial services for global commerce, precious metals trading, and sophisticated real estate investments, reflecting the traditional Ezra banking expertise flawlessly adapted for modern financial markets. The institution's discerning clientele encompasses major multinational corporations, affluent individuals across Asia, and various governmental entities. These clients require highly sophisticated financial solutions for complex international transactions, demanding deep cultural acumen and extensive global relationships. While integrating modern fintech and stringent international regulatory compliance, the bank wisely upholds its traditional relationship C-based lending models, allowing it to thrive continuously in contemporary global finance. The Manas family has established a precious metals powerhouse, operating under the banner of Singapore Bullion Trading. This entity controls significant segments of Asia's gold and silver markets through extensive processing facilities, secure storage operations, and robust international distribution networks that effectively link Asian precious metals producers with worldwide demand. Singapore Bullion Trading executes over $3.88 billion in annual precious metals transactions. It commands a market share exceeding 40% of Singapore's total bullion trading, supplemented by major involvement in high-end jewelry manufacturing and luxury goods distribution. These operations fuse traditional Manasseh family expertise with cutting-edge security systems, advanced electronic trading platforms, and stringent international compliance protocols, ensuring continued dominance in today's precious metals landscape. The family's luxury division focuses on elite jewelry retail, discerning art dealing, and high-value collectibles trading, catering to Asia's wealthiest clientele and maintaining global connections that secure access to luxury products worldwide. The combined influence of these Jewish family business empires shapes modern Singapore far beyond their visible commercial operations. This pervasive impact encompasses substantial real estate ownership, potent political influence, and key cultural institutions, subtly guiding Singapore's development while largely remaining shielded from public scrutiny. The family's real estate portfolio alone controls approximately 25% of Singapore's Central Business District, CBD, major residential complexes across the island, and essential industrial facilities that house critical infrastructure necessary for Singapore's sustained economic growth. This expansive property ownership generates annual rental income exceeding $800 million, affording them effective control over commercial space allocation and, consequently, influencing which businesses can afford to operate within Singapore's most coveted and desirable locales. This real estate leverage extends deeply into critical areas like urban planning strategies, prioritizing infrastructure development projects, and setting architectural standards, all of which reflect the Jewish family's preferences and shape Singapore's physical environment in ways that align with their long-term commercial objectives. This historical strategy of wealth accumulation has led to profound modern contradictions. Despite Singapore's prosperity, it faces the worst wealth inequality in the Asia-Pacific, reflected in a high Gini coefficient. The core public housing system, HDB, where 80% of residents live, is now strained. The influx of global capital, combined with local demand, has pushed resale HDB flat prices to hit record highs, with over $1,200 million HDB transactions in the first 9 months of 2025 alone. This cost of living crisis is exacerbated by the deep-seated cultural trait of kiasu, literally, fear of losing, which is an anxiety-driven need to get ahead, fostered by the hyper-competitive education system and high cost of living. Critics argue this pressure cooker environment, while driving economic productivity, fosters high burnout rates and kills individual creativity, hindering the next generation of risk-takers and innovators. Political influence is maintained through quiet, informal consultation with high-ranking governmental officials who frequently seek advice from these Jewish business leaders on crucial economic policies impacting Singapore's commercial viability and international competitiveness. These private political relationships enable the families to subtly influence tax legislation, regulatory frameworks, and infrastructure investments, thereby cultivating optimal conditions for their vast business operations, while simultaneously contributing to Singapore's broader economic goals. This influence is exerted via private consultation, avoiding public political participation, a traditional Jewish preference for exercising power without accepting public accountability or recognition that might provoke political opposition. Cultural influence stems from strategic philanthropic endeavors, support for educational institutions, and community organizations that significantly contribute to Singapore's social development. These efforts intentionally foster positive relationships with diverse ethnic communities, which, in turn, sustain Jewish commercial operations. Philanthropic activities focus on education, healthcare, and cultural enrichment, benefiting all Singaporeans and generating essential goodwill that supports continued Jewish commercial success without inciting ethnic or religious tensions. Educational support includes comprehensive scholarship programs, university endowments, and technical training initiatives designed to cultivate a highly skilled workforce, boosting Singapore's commercial competitiveness and providing a pipeline of qualified employees for the family's enterprises. The sheer financial magnitude of the Jewish economic footprint in modern Singapore is profound. Combined family wealth conservatively surpasses $25 billion, controlling business operations that generate over $8 billion in annual economic activity across Singapore and the wider Southeast Asian region. This influence profoundly impacts employment for hundreds of thousands of workers, generates substantial tax revenues supporting government operations, and drives international commerce that solidifies Singapore's role as Southeast Asia's commercial and financial nerve center. This modern legacy is undeniable proof that traditional Jewish commercial expertise and international networks continue to provide distinct competitive advantages, enabling sustained dominance in key business sectors despite shifting technological, political, and economic landscapes. Their enduring success is rooted in cultural traditions emphasizing meticulous, long-term planning, relationship-based business practices, and exceptional adaptability qualities that ensure survival and prosperity even when less sophisticated competitors are eliminated. Crucially, the most significant aspect of this modern legacy is the maintenance of calculated invisibility. This strategic low profile shields Jewish families from unwanted scrutiny while enabling them to continuously influence Singapore's economic evolution without creating political opposition or business rivalry that could jeopardize their entrenched market positions. The modern success story demonstrates that a combination of superior commercial intelligence and cultural flexibility can forge multi-generational business empires that persist and thrive by adapting to new circumstances, rewarding the same fundamental business capabilities across different eras. The secret is out. The question is, can the invisible architects protect their hidden fortune in the face of two global superpowers? The true extent of the wealth accumulated by Jewish families during 150 years of commercial dominance in Singapore is meticulously and deliberately hidden. This concealment utilizes complex international financial structures, making an accurate calculation of their combined net worth virtually impossible, while effectively protecting assets from taxation, political interference, and public scrutiny. Wealth protection is achieved via multiple overlapping strategies. These include the use of offshore holding companies, intricate international trust arrangements, and specialized partnership structures that strategically distribute asset ownership across diverse global jurisdictions. Crucially, family control is maintained through specialized voting arrangements that remain undisclosed in public corporate records. The Sissoon family fortune is dispersed through a network of at least 47 distinct corporate entities operating across 12 nations. Significant holdings are registered in Singapore, Hong Kong, the British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, and Switzerland, while operational businesses span Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and other Southeast Asian states. International tax specialists analyzing this complex structure estimate the Sissoon family wealth to be between $8.3 billion and $12.7 billion. However, the intricate nature of their holding arrangements involving private partnerships, trusts, and offshore corporations that bypass public financial disclosure requirements makes a precise calculation elusive. Real estate assets alone yield an annual rental income exceeding $340 million from commercial properties within Singapore's CBD, luxury residential developments, and industrial sites. Furthermore, capital appreciation on these properties contributes hundreds of million-dollars annually to the family's total wealth. Shipping logistics, managed by Sissoon Maritime Holdings, involve a fleet of 73 vessels dedicated to cargo transportation throughout Asia. Related revenue streams from port facilities, logistics management, and ancillary maritime services are not included in public financial reports. Their commodity trading division deals in agricultural goods, precious metals, and energy derivatives, generating estimated annual revenues exceeding $2.1 billion. Profit margins, however, remain a closely guarded secret, since all trading operations are conducted through private entities that are exempt from publishing financial information. The Elias family fortune is coordinated by Pacific Holdings International, which manages investment activities across agricultural operations, expansive real estate development, and financial services. Its corporate headquarters in Singapore oversees international operations spanning 6 countries. Agricultural assets are colossal, including rubber plantations covering over 400,000 acres throughout Malaysia and Indonesia. Revenues exceeding $2.8 billion annually are generated from rubber, palm oil, coffee, and spice trading, supplemented by income from processing facilities, transportation infrastructure, and global marketing operations. The real estate portfolio includes significant commercial developments across Southeast Asia, luxury residential projects in major metropolitan centers, and industrial facilities supporting the agricultural network. These assets generate substantial rental income and capital appreciation, adding hundreds of million-dollars yearly to the family's net worth. Financial services operations involve private equity investments, venture capital funding, and international trade finance, strategically leveraging family expertise to yield returns that expertly complement income from agriculture and real estate through well-diversified investment strategies. Based on visible asset holdings, international tax specialists estimate the Elias family wealth to be between $6.2 billion rand, $9.88 billion though they concede that offshore financial arrangements and private investment vehicles render a comprehensive wealth calculation unattainable. The Ezra family banking fortune is centralized under Singapore International Financial Holdings. SIF coordinates banking operations, investment management, and various financial services, maintaining extensive correspondent relationships with premier international banks across Asia and Europe. The banking sector generates income through commercial lending, sophisticated trade finance, currency trading, and high-level investment management. It also provides client asset management, with managed funds for wealthy individuals and institutional investors, surpassing $12.7 billion. Strategic real estate holdings include major commercial towers in Singapore's financial district, high-end residential developments, and international property investments, all generating rental income while strategically appreciating in value through meticulous development and location scouting. The investment portfolios are broad, including substantial equity holdings in major Asian corporations, venture capital stakes in technology firms, and private equity participation in leveraged buyouts. These generate returns that complement banking income through expertly diversified investment strategies. Wealth estimates for the Ezra family range from $7.1 billion to $11.2 billion, derived from visible assets and calculated investment returns. Nevertheless, the intricate international financial architecture makes a fully comprehensive calculation impossible. The Manas family's precious metals fortune is managed by Singapore Bullion Holdings. This entity coordinates precious metals trading, luxury goods distribution, and investment activities, overseeing operations that span Europe, Asia, and North America. Precious metals dealings involve annual gold and silver trading volumes surpassing $3.88 billion. They maintain processing facilities for metals sourced from Asian mining operations and secure storage vaults providing international customers with custodial services. Luxury goods operations include high-end jewelry retail, prestigious art dealing, collectibles trading, and luxury real estate, serving Asia's elite clientele and achieving profit margins that often exceed 200% on numerous transactions. Investment activities include strategic real estate development, technology investments, and financial services that complement their core precious metals business. These provide diversified income streams, mitigating reliance on volatile commodity price fluctuations. International tax experts estimate the Manas family wealth to be between $4.88 billion and $7.3 billion, while acknowledging that their opaque precious metals holdings and complex international investment structures prevent accurate, comprehensive calculation. The aggregated wealth of the Jewish families stemming from their Singapore operations conservatively exceeds $25 billion. However, the true total could easily surpass $40 billion when incorporating private investments, discrete offshore holdings, and capital appreciation managed through financial architectures specifically designed to minimize public disclosure. Core wealth protection strategies include implementing international trust arrangements that transfer legal asset ownership to charitable foundations, while retaining effective family control via specialized voting agreements. This maintains management authority without affecting the legal ownership structure. Tax optimization is achieved through strategic jurisdiction selection, minimizing tax liabilities while maintaining strict legal compliance with international financial reporting requirements, thus ensuring asset protection without violating the tax laws of the countries where the families reside. Elaborate estate planning mechanisms guarantee seamless intergenerational wealth transfer through highly sophisticated legal structures. These systems minimize inheritance taxes while ensuring continued family governance over the business operations that have generated this colossal wealth for more than 150 years. Currency diversification serves as a critical shield against economic instability, involving holdings distributed across multiple currencies, commodities, and international assets. This provides robust hedge protection against inflation and political risks that could otherwise undermine wealth preservation. Portfolio diversification spans real estate, commodities, financial services, technology ventures, and international securities. This broad allocation generates reliable income and capital appreciation while significantly mitigating risks by ensuring the portfolio is not dependent on the performance of any single business sector or geographical region. These sophisticated wealth concealment strategies are the result of centuries of Jewish experience, successfully managing fortunes amidst volatile political environments, ensuring that business operations generate continued income independent of political upheaval or major economic disruptions. Professional wealth management involves deep-seated relationships with leading international banks, law firms, and accounting organizations that provide highly specialized services tailored for ultra-high net worth families, while guaranteeing the confidentiality essential to protecting family privacy and asset security. Security protocols are comprehensive, encompassing physical protection for family members, stringent cybersecurity measures for financial assets, and legal defense provided through international legal structures. These systems offer robust asset protection and family safety across numerous jurisdictions. The existence of these hidden fortunes demonstrates that systematic commercial excellence, sustained across multiple generations, can generate wealth surpassing the GDP of many sovereign nations, all while maintaining the invisibility that shields the families from unwanted public attention or political interference. Yet, the most crucial element of these hidden fortunes is that the wealth continues to expand through proactive, active business management, rather than relying solely on passive investment. This strategic engagement ensures that the Jewish families maintain dynamic commercial influence over Singapore's economic development, simultaneously securing continuous wealth generation for future generations. These hidden fortunes represent the pinnacle of 150 years of commercial prowess, culminating in business empires wealthy enough to profoundly influence economic and political developments throughout Southeast Asia, all while upholding the traditional invisibility that safeguards family interests from public intrusion. The contemporary influence of the Jewish merchant families fundamentally shapes Singapore's role as a preeminent global financial hub. This is achieved through sophisticated international networks that connect Singapore seamlessly with major financial markets worldwide, creating business opportunities that serve both the family's commercial interests and Singapore's broader national economic development goals. Singapore's impressive emergence as the world's fourth-largest financial center is a direct reflection of institutional capacity, extensive international connections, and commercial expertise. These attributes have been diligently cultivated by the Jewish families over decades through banking innovation, strategic international relationship building, and financial market development, creating the essential infrastructure that underpins modern financial services. They successfully adapted their traditional currency trading expertise to modern electronic markets. This robust institutional capability, which Jewish financial institutions helped to pioneer, continues to hold substantial market share through currency trading operations that strategically leverage their historical expertise and deep international relationships developed over generations. This financial fortress structure, pioneered by Ezra and Manas, has created the ultimate magnet for global capital, making Singapore the fifth-largest recipient of FDI stock globally. Private banking services, which consistently draw affluent individuals from across Asia, are provided by institutions that blend traditional relationship-based models with cutting-edge financial technology and adherence to rigorous international regulatory compliance. This combination enables highly sophisticated wealth management for ultra-high net worth clientele. Total private banking assets under management now surpass $1.22 trillion, and substantial portions of these portfolios are managed by Jewish financial institutions. They maintain a critical competitive advantage through specialized cultural expertise, extensive international networks, and relationship management capabilities rooted in traditional Jewish banking practices. Commodity trading, which efficiently links Asian production to global consumption, relies on trading platforms, integrated logistics networks, and financial services that evolved directly from Jewish commodity trading operations. Their traditional trading know-how has been skillfully adapted to contemporary market conditions and technological demands. Annual commodity trading volumes surpass $400 billion, with Jewish trading companies controlling a significant market share. They maintain competitive superiority via strong producer relationships, deep international market knowledge, and unparalleled logistics expertise developed through decades of operational experience. The strategic real estate development that dramatically shapes Singapore's physical landscape is orchestrated by specialized development companies, investment funds, and project management teams. These operations utilize traditional Jewish real estate acumen while seamlessly incorporating modern architectural design, sustainable construction practices, and urban planning innovations. Commercial real estate assets, valued over $280 billion, include substantial holdings governed by Jewish development firms. They retain powerful market influence through meticulous strategic location selection, commitment to superior construction standards, and long-term investment horizons that consistently generate lasting value. Singapore's burgeoning technology sector, positioning the nation as Southeast Asia's innovation epicenter, receives vital support from venture capital funding, technical expertise, and crucial international connections provided by Jewish investment firms. These firms leverage traditional commercial intelligence to identify and capitalize on promising technological opportunities. Technology investments exceeding $8.3 billion include significant participation by Jewish investment funds. They maintain competitive edge through expansive international networks, sophisticated risk assessment capabilities, and strategic planning expertise that guarantees successful technology venture identification and management. Infrastructure development, which is foundational to Singapore's sustained economic growth, utilizes engineering expertise, financing capacity, and project management skills contributed by Jewish companies. These operations uphold a traditional emphasis on quality construction and the creation of long-term value. Infrastructure investments exceeding $122.7 billion encompass major projects either managed or financed by Jewish entities, providing essential engineering acumen, international funding, and project coordination that facilitates the complex infrastructure expansion required by Singapore's growing economy. Finally, international trade facilitation, which is key to maintaining Singapore's status as Southeast Asia's foremost commercial center, relies on the comprehensive logistics services, critical trade financing, and expert international relationship management provided by Jewish companies. They continually leverage their traditional time-tested commercial expertise to successfully support and drive contemporary global commerce.